What's up, guys? So as you know from the title of this video, I'm going to go over the top 5 things I dislike about my GR86. Don't get me wrong, this is a widely discussed vehicle. A lot of these topics have already been mentioned, but as an owner of the car, I'm not a car journalist, I'm not a reviewer, I actually own the car, plan to keep it for a long time. I want to give you my thoughts on what are some top 5 gripes that a regular owner of this car may have and what to expect as an owner. So without further ado, let's jump into the video and I'll go over the top 5 things I dislike about this car. All right, the first item that I dislike about the GR86, I love the design of the light, don't get me wrong, but anyone that owns this car will tell you that one of the most frustrating things about this car is this gloss black area of the taillights practically scratches just by looking at it. I mean, that's not even an exaggeration. I've only hand washed this car. It's never once seen anything other than really soft microfiber towels meant to touch paint. And I even have fine scratches on this. Again, I'm absolutely amazed. I don't understand what this is made out of. It's incredibly soft, whatever it is, but definitely my top gripe, because aesthetically this car looks amazing. That's just very frustrating when you get really close to it. You see fine scratches, just more annoying than anything. But yeah, definitely top gripe of the car so far is that. The second item that I dislike about the GR86, this may be unique to me, to be honest, but I think other owners should be aware of this. I actually had to get the weather stripping on both doors replaced recently. Now, shout out to my local Toyota dealership. They handled it with no issues at all. They actually looked at a unit that they had on the lot. I actually think it was one of their technicians' cars to compare the damage, because they wanted to just make sure that it wasn't a design, but I could tell you it definitely wasn't a design. I had almost like half moon cracks. I had 2 on this side, or 3, I think it was 3 on the passenger side and 2 on the driver's side. Absolutely no idea where that came from. That I noticed that when the car only had just over 300 miles on it. And I was very amazed at a car with that little mileage that has virtually never sat outside hardly at all, at least since my ownership. Now, keep in mind, these cars do go from the factory onto a boat, then they sit on a lot, then they're on a truck, then they go to the dealership. So I'm assuming it may have happened at some point in time. It may have just been a general defect, but something to keep an eye out for you guys. You may want to check and see if this is cracked. Like I said, my Toyota dealership handled it with no problem. I did reach out to Toyota North America, opened a case with them, and went to the dealership. That may have made a difference, but they replaced it, no issues. And I will say the newer weather stripping feels a lot better. So again, I don't know if they maybe changed the materials or if I just had a defective unit to begin with, but they did replace that. But that is my second gripe on this car, is the weather stripping cracking with just over 300 miles on the clock. I was very disappointed by that. I really thought, that would be something that would happen 15 years down the line, not 2 months and 300 miles into ownership. But like I said, can't complain too much. Dealership did take care of me. Shout out to them. Really do appreciate it. And they did fix it so it's not cracked any longer. Okay, so third item that I dislike on this car. I kind of addressed this already in my top 5 things that I like, because I installed this little cover right here to fix this problem. But the third item that I dislike about the GR86 or BRZ is the placement of this button. Again, there's probably a whole ton of different designs they could have done. They went with this one, not sure why, but this button opens this up with little to no issue. But the problem that you run into is the fact that you're prone to bumping it with your elbow, and that opens this thing up. And it's just more of a nuisance than anything. But the interior design of this, the button, that's one of the few items in the interior I dislike. Frankly, overall, I think the interior has a really cool design. That you can obviously tell this was intended to be a cheap sports car, so there's more plastics and things like that. This being the premium model, you do get the Alcantara-like suede on the dash cover, and then also on the seats, and then the door cards. So there is a little bit of a premium feel in that regard. But overall, the design of this isn't bad. But that's definitely a design that I wish they would change maybe in the future models. All right, the fourth thing I dislike about the GR86, which this is a non-issue for me, want to go ahead and make it known now. I knew what I was buying, but the fact that it has rear seats that are virtually, I mean, they're unusable. I'm not a very tall person. I have my seat in the position that I sit in, and there's no way you're going to have a person sit back there. You may have a small child sit back there, but an adult is not going to comfortably sit back here. Maybe in an emergency situation where you need a four-seater car and this is the only one in the driveway, but I honestly tend to drive with my back seats down so that I can fit my gear in the back. That's one thing I do like about this car is it has a pretty good storage space with the seats folded down particularly. It does have a tiny trunk, but with the seats folded down, it is quite usable. But I will say, back seats are a little bit annoying. I honestly, for me, wished it was just a 2+2, or just a two-seater, I should say. It is a 2+2. I wished it was just a regular two-seater with no back seats. I think that could be more cargo area, kind of like the Z cars. But I get why they do it. A lot of people claim it's for insurance, but I think it's more for practicality. Like if you do have small children, you can at least have them ride in here. So it is a four-seater. But as far as adults sitting back here, I'm not quite sure that would be feasible. But that is the number 4 item that I dislike on this car. And last but not least, the fifth item that I dislike about the GR86 is the fact that it doesn't come with a spare tire. Now, for a lot of people, this is a non-issue, and frankly, I understand it. But this is a video of the top 5 things I dislike about this vehicle. And as you can see, at least here in the US, you get the tire iron. So in theory, you could take the lug nuts off. You've got the goo as well as the air pump, and then they put this kind of filler plate in where a spare tire would actually go. In fact, there's the threads down there for the bolt that would hold a spare tire in, so there is a place for one. And I believe in some of the posts that I've seen on the overseas models in some countries, they actually still include the spare tire, maybe for regulations purposes or something like that. But I get why they didn't include it. Look, trust me, I understand this is supposed to be a lightweight, affordable sports car. What better way to shed some weight and cost than to get rid of a spare tire that you frankly will probably never use? However, for me, I do want to take some long trips in this car, which is kind of ironic. The car has a very tiny gas tank, but it does get pretty good gas mileage. I tend to average, right now, since I'm still in the break-in period, I'm hovering around 28, 29 miles to the gallon on average. So while it has a small gas tank, it does seem to look like you can go a pretty sufficient distance on a tank of gas. Not saying it's a grand tour or anything, but it would be enjoyable to take on a long drive. And one thing that would be peace of mind is having a spare tire. Now, thank you to the internet. I know that there are several Subaru models, the first gens, for instance, other Subaru models that the spare tire would work. So at some point, I do plan to go to a pick-apart and actually get a jack and a spare tire actually for this thing, just to have the peace of mind. But with that being said, those are the top 5 things I dislike about the GR86 or BRZ. Frankly, I love the car. It's a blast to drive. I've enjoyed it so far. Hope to enjoy it for many years to come. I know there's a lot of negativity on the internet. There's also a lot of positivity on the internet about these cars. But I think you got to take it for what it is. It's a lightweight, affordable sports car. Mine's in a manual spec. But whether you get a manual or auto, I'm just happy that there are manufacturers still making these cars. In the day and age of crossovers and SUVs and everything going to EVs, these are becoming rarer and rarer and rarer. And I think this is what a pure sports car is about. Lightweight, affordability, fun, rear-wheel drive. I'm just happy that Subaru and Toyota actually made this car. Hopefully it'll stick around for years to come. The sales seem to be doing phenomenal. So hopefully that is an indicator that maybe they will continue to make these. Not going to lie, I would love to see Toyota do something with the engine. You know, not hating on the Subaru engine by any means. I think it's plenty for what the car is, but I would definitely love to see a GR Yaris or GR Corolla engine under the hood of one of these things. Granted, those are all-wheel drive platforms, but, you know, convert it to a rear-wheel drive setup. I think this would be an unstoppable car. But with that being said, those are the top 5 things I dislike about the GR86. As you can tell, most of them are non-issues in reality, but I just wanted to give my take on it. There's several videos out there on the internet really dogging on these cars. You know, I'll go ahead and say the blinker thing, you do get used to it. Rev hang, you do get used to it. The spring on the clutch pedal for those that want to buy the manual, I think it's a non-issue. I'm okay with the spring that's in the pedal, but there are aftermarket replacements for that. And then, of course, tons and tons and tons and tons of write-ups on the engine itself. The car's under warranty right now, so I just plan to enjoy it. Who knows what long-term entails. It is a Subaru after all. But with that being said, as you can tell, as a regular owner, those are my 5 things that I dislike about the GR86. Most of them are non-issues. They wouldn't prevent you from buying the car, at least in my opinion. As you could tell, I did buy the car even with those issues. But yeah, hopefully that helps out, guys. I'll probably make a long-term video after I've owned this car for, you know, maybe 6 months or check in a year. Maybe my opinion of it will change at that point, or maybe it won't. But if you've enjoyed this video, if you have any other questions, if you yourself are considering buying one of these cars and you're overwhelmed with all the stuff that's on the internet about them, feel free to reach out, comment down below. I'm happy to make a video on anything that you've heard on the internet or discuss anything you've heard on the internet about these cars. As an owner, I really want to make sure that you guys know about them. Toyota, Subaru, if you see this video, I'm not sponsored by you guys, but I do enjoy your products. Right now, got 2 Toyotas. The 4Runner is amazing. That goes without saying. These are the dinosaurs. They'll be around forever, but we've been really happy with the 4Runner. I can definitely tell you that. But Toyota, Subaru, not joking. If you guys watch this video, I'd love to be sponsored by you guys. Love the cars. But with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.